Get ready to see the highest stakes live stream we've ever played.
We had two massive stacks on our table, one with 40K and one with 20K. It was insane.
And I am commenting today. My hands will be from last week's stream.
Let's do it.
Let's go.
First hand for us, DC makes a $25 straddle, so we're playing 2-5-25, and we look down at ace 10 of clubs next to act. I decide to open this one up to 60, folds all the way around to DC, and he makes the call on the straddle, so we're heads up in position to a flop of ace 6-3 rainbow. He checks, I bet small like I would with almost all my holdings, and he quickly makes a call. Turn is the 9 of clubs. This card really shouldn't connect with me at all, and it can connect with him in many ways that either improve his hand or allow him to check raise all in and put me in a tough spot. My hand's marginal at this point, and so I decide to check back and see how he reacts to the river. And that river is the 7 of clubs. He follows through with the check once again. Now I'm confident I have the best hand, and it's just a matter of sizing. I want to target any non-believing weaker pairs, so I bet small to $110. DC thinks it over before making the call with what was a weaker ace. If I would have known that he was that strong, we might have been able to go for 3 streets, but we scoop it in.
First hand for me, we've got ace-king offsuit in the big blind. We see an under the gun straddle to 10, hijack opens to 35, and the button calls. We're bumping it up. We go for a 3-bet on the larger side to $175, and we get one caller in the hijack. DC off to a flop with already almost 400 in the middle. Can we hit it? Jack 8-6 with 2 clubs. We are holding the ace of clubs. We have ace high, but we can rep a lot of good stuff. We go for the C-bet here for 125. He folds, and we win a $400 pot early.
I commentated the stream the boys are doing their highlights on, so my highlights come from the stream I just played a couple weeks ago. It's the most action game I've ever played in. Let's get started. I'm under the gun straddle with pocket jacks. Gerard raises to 35. Nick, the most active player at the table, 3-bets to 135. And when it's on me, I'm definitely going to put in a raise. He's going to have a lot of worse hands than the one he has right now. I make it $275 to go. I'm deciding not to go all in. I think I could definitely just go all in here. Gerard folds, and Nick just makes the call, so he doesn't make our life easy. We have to head to a flop, which comes 4-3-9. I really like this flop, and because Nick is a pretty sticky player, I decided to just go big, $350. And Nick, with his ace high, 25% equity, makes the call. We'd rather him fold, especially when the turn comes the ace of spades, killing us. At this point, Nick is already shoving all in before it's his turn to act. So I just kind of just awkwardly check and let him complete his action of going all in. And it's just $545 to win a total of $1.8 thousand. I've already committed myself. I feel like I have to. I make the call, and we're going to need some help. We run it twice. The first board, no jack, and the second board, no jack. We lose.
For this next one, we're playing the good old Texas stand-up game. There's one limp. I look down at pocket eights and open to 30. Preston now immediately 3-bets me to 100. Folds back to me. He can be doing this pretty light. I decide to call and defend my open. Flop is Jack 6-3 rainbow. Pretty solid for us. We got second pair on this board, and Preston bets out $60 when I check to him. I think raising's actually pretty reasonable to deny equity from any 2 overcards that didn't connect, but I still think calling is best, and that's what I decide to do here. And we see a seemingly inconsequential 4 of diamonds on the turn. I check and flow. Little do I know, Preston just made the nuts. He snap checks it back too. River is a 6, bringing a 4-liner out there. I consider placing like a little blocker bet out there, but Preston is a thinking player and would very well be able to sniff that out and put me to the test with a lot of his holdings. For that reason, I just check it over once again, planning to call most bets, but he absolutely bombs it for $300. This is such a weird spot because this board really should never favor him as a 3-better. He's also already sitting down, which de-incentivizes him from bluffing because I'll likely be calling down lighter. I think he knows that and is using all this to his advantage to get me to make a light call. There are so many considerations on the river. Even just the way he threw out the 3 black chips, it just seems so casual and really strong to me. I have a pretty solid bluff catcher, but my gut is telling me something is off here. I trust that feeling and let it go after a minute or 2 of tanking, and he's kind enough to show us that we made the good fold, having us drawing dead on the turn.
All right, buckle up for this one. It folds all the way to me in the small blind. We ask Cashman if he wants to chop, per usual, and he says he doesn't chop. So we look at our cards, we see king 10 offsuit, and that is plenty good enough to attack his big blind that he didn't want to chop. We open to $20 and he calls. What could go wrong? Flop comes king 7-6 rainbow. We flop top pair, we love it, we're going to c-bet it. We make it $25 and he goes for the raise to 90. Now, our kicker is not good, but we are blind versus blind, so ranges are wider and we can feel more comfortable sticking around with the correct call, which we do make. Now, before the turn comes, I want you guys to think of the best possible card for me, and also think of the worst possible card for me, because one of them is coming here on this turn. The turn is the 10 of spades. Yeah, we now pick up top 2 in a blind versus blind pot. Meanwhile, he drills his open-ended straight draw. We check, he continues for 165. We got nothing to do but make the call here. Off to a river with over 550 at stake and offsuit 4. We check and he bets $450. Lovely. Now, I just think top 2 pair is a call in this configuration. The 8-9 and 5-8 straight draws did get there. We can see what he has now, but there's so much that we beat, both bluffs and even value bets on his part. So we make the call, and what went from me asking for a chop in the blinds has now turned into me losing a $1,500 pot. Poker is hard.
We're going to keep the villain's hand a mystery. Mr. Regis, under the gun, opens to $80 in a 2-5 game. You heard me right. He opened to $80, and we have pocket queens, under the gun 1. I make it $225. This is a non-standard play. I'm not used to people putting in just a huge, massive open. Obviously, that means they have a pretty good hand. It's indicative of a ton of strength. And when he gets back to him, he puts in a re-raise. Not all in, but around $600 to go, $680, basically committing my stack. At this point, I'm going to jam or I'm going to fold, and I actually don't really think too long before deciding to make the jam. I think that he's going to have jacks and ace-king here. However, that's really a big assumption I'm making. We don't actually know. So Regis, maybe you can let us know in the comments if you watch this video. Are you doing this pocket jacks and ace-king? Because if you're not, I should just fold here. We're going to a flop, and let's see if we can hit a queen.
As Frankie reloads.
Oh, Frankie reloads.
Frankie reloads.
Yeah, well. Oh, saw some paint. Oh,
It's not
no.
gonna do it. And that is going to be Frankie's 3rd bullet now. Rough night.
Ouchie.
Nada. Nothing for us, and we get stacked back-to-back hands.
It's down to the final 2 in the stand-up game, me and the $40,000 stack DC. Whoever is next to win will save $80 in the stand-up bounties, folds to him in the cutoff, and we are on the button. I expect him to open 100% of his hands here, and he does by making it $40. And we wake up with ace-king. Time to punish this dude and maybe even catch a double up. I bump it up to 150, it folds back to him, and he doesn't hesitate to rip it all in for $36,000. I'm in there immediately for only my $500 stack. We're off to the run out. Let's hold.
Bet DC4 bet cash called, so we're all in 1.2k pot. Good luck, guys.
Bricks on the flop. Brick on the turn. Can Jello fade? He fades. And looks like Jello's gonna get a full double here.
We do hold, beating DC's ace queen. Not only do we take down the pot in a double up, we also save $80 and collect the $10 bounty from him. Let's go.
It is stand-up game time, and for this hand, we are going to play it purely from my perspective, blurring the opponent's hole cards and percentages. We see the homie Bo, one of the loosest players in the game, open it up to $20. And here comes another one of those spots where I'm learning to employ a linear 3-bet strategy. Even more so with a pro on the button, which is the case here. We do not want to be flatting here and potentially going out of position or getting squeezed. So we go for the 3-bet here with 9-8 offsuit, a hand not usually in our arsenal, but a spot where we will get a lot of credit and where we will have a ton of ways to win the hand without actually needing to make the best hand. It folds all the way around to Bo, but he does make the call. So we have to go to a flop, but we're in position, and that flop comes ace, king, jack with 2 clubs. Bo checks, and this smacks our 3-bet range. Perfect. We c-bet for $100 here. We go show me the money, and Bo rips it all in for $800 effective. Our plan has been foiled. We have to fold, but let's see what he had. Wow. Bo had pocket kings. I did not expect that. We walked right into it this time, but I still like our strategy as a whole. we would unfortunately go on to lose the stand-up game and have to give everyone $10. Poker is hard.
And the next hand, Gerard makes it 10, Woodley makes the call to 10, Nick calls 10, Regis calls 10. As you can see, we're in a super active game, and I'm not having it, guys. I'm not going to give them a cheap price. I just raised to 150. Yeah, I raised to 150 over the $10 raise in 3 calls because they're just action players. They're just going to call me. I've got a really good hand, and I want to get value. Hey, and guess what? All 3 of them call. We're going 4 ways, and Nick's hand being the most impressive of the bunch. The flop comes king, 3, queen. Not a good board because we pick up something and our opponents pick up something slightly better. I do want to continue betting here because the board is really good for my range, and it's going to be hard to just check call, multiple bets a second pair versus betting and taking the lead. So I make it $200 to go. Willie makes the call, Nick makes the call, and Regis folds. Going up to the turn, 3 ways. I don't like the spot. It's the 4 of clubs. At this point, I don't think I have the best hand. I check, Woodley checks, and Nick checks it back. The river is the king of clubs, really the worst card in the entire deck for me. I check, and Woodley puts out a bet of $250. When Nick folds, at this point, I'm just shaking my head in absolute disgust. I feel like I just have to make the call. Woodley, good bet. He takes this one down.
This hand, I open a couple of tanks to $30. Preston makes a call, and Cashman, the $20,000 stack in the small blind, 3-bets me to 150. I don't love the idea of calling when there's a person behind me and inviting them potentially in there, but Preston specifically has been playing so many hands that I'm not super worried about him either being in there or likely folding out most hands for the additional 120. I call the 150, and like I expected, Preston folds his ace-9 offsuit. Flop comes Jack 5, and Cashman starts out with a small bet to 90. Can't go anywhere, but also no need to raise. I make the call. Turn is a 4, and Cashman now slows down and checks. He's a pretty conservative player. I suspect he can still have some overpairs here, so I check this one back to evaluate a river, and that river is a deuce, which is great. Cashman checks again. At this point, I'm putting him on some middling pocket pairs and ace high, both hands we might be able to get some value from. Pot is $500, and I bet $225, hoping to get looked up light. However, it doesn't come to that. Cashman folds his ace high, and we take it down.
Here we are playing 2-5-25 classic. We have Jack 10 offsuit in the hijack, open it up to 60. The button calls and the straddler calls. We're off to a flop 3 ways, 187 at stake, and it comes king 6-10 rainbow. Under the gun checks, and against the loose button and a wide calling straddle, we take a marginal made hand and bet it for value and protection. Normally a bit sketchy to do this with middle pair bad kicker multi-way, but in this game, I thought it was the right play. And as you can see, we are in fact ahead right now and in need of protection. Both players fold, and we profit over $100.
We have been getting absolutely crushed this stream. My moral is down. We have ace-7 of spades in the big blind. Under the gun, the boy raises to 20. Nick calls, Regis calls, Jay calls, and we are obviously going to make the call here with the suited ace. Flop comes really good. 10, 9, 8, 2 spades. Jay puts a bet of $60 out. The boy, a little frustrated tonight too, makes the call. Nick makes the call with his gut shot, and here I'm in a really tough spot whether I should raise or call. Obviously, if you look at the cards, a raise would really work, but at this point, I thought the other players were a lot stronger than what they were. I just call here to assess, and the turn comes to 5 of hearts. I check, and Jay bets $225. Nick again makes the call with his gut shot. He's probably a little bit tilted tonight too, and it's on me. I just don't want to raise against him when he might have a set or a straight already. I have a ton of equity, I know that, so I'm just going to make the call here and hope to hit, and the river is the beautiful queen of spades. At this point, I'm just going to check and let the person with a straight or a flush bet it so I can just re-raise all in. And that's not what happens. They both snap check it back, and we show, and we win, although we liked it to be a little bit more. As you can see, I'm a little bit frustrated.
We're feeling a bit loosey-goosey towards the end of the stream, and we open up ace-10 offsuit in the +1, playing 2-5-10 to $30. Preston calls, Daryl calls, and we are 3 ways to a flop of queen deuce deuce with 2 hearts. We've got the ace of hearts, and I decide to bet small for $30 once again, only to get a call from Preston. Turn is a 9. Not fantastic because there are plenty of cards that can continue on to give me more equity, such as a heart, a jack, a king, or an ace. I check, and now Preston bets $50. I'm not fully believing him just yet. I make an optimistic call with ace high here, knowing that Preston can make some light floats on the flop that try to steal the pot later on. River is a dud 4. I check again, and he bets 125 this time. It's a tougher spot than it seems if you know Preston. He's shown down plenty of bluffs all night and really built his image well. I don't imagine him to have any hands that bet this river for value besides a queen, so if he's got it, I'm going to pay him off. I make the call, and I'm shown the bad news immediately. He capitalized pretty well on his image. Nice hand.
Ding, ding, ding. Welcome to the hand of the night. There's a triple straddle. 10, 20, 40 is on. Regis makes a call for 40, and it's on me with ace queen suited. Pretty tough spot, but a really good spot. Like, we have an awesome hand situation. I make $175 to go. And the boy rakes up with ace king all night. I've just been getting out kicked. It's been brutal. We're running terrible, and Du Bois is going to go with an all-in play. Very clear decision with his short stack. He makes it $630 to go all in. And Nick cold calls 630 in between with jack 6 suited. I have seen Nick play all sorts of junk tonight. I am putting him on a junky hand. I don't think that if he had a really good hand, I think he would have re-raised himself. So I'm happy to go all in with ace king here and go to a bigger side pot. Nick does make the call. I mean, half his stack is committed. So we are now 3 ways in what is the biggest pot of the entire night. If I lose this hand, I'm going to be down $4,500 and having the biggest loss of my entire life. If I win this hand, I'll go even for the day and book a huge comeback. Let's go to a flop.
And here we go. There's a king in the window, guys.
It's
2 clubs.
And a heart.
Oh my gosh, and Frankie's almost dead.
And that's it.
We need a club for Nick 6.
I'm almost like...
The river is an offsuit queen. We're safe. We stack Nick, but unfortunately, Du Bois takes a pretty big hit out of the main pot, and we end up scooping in a couple hundred profits and end the day in the negative.
Into the game for 1900, we lost $845.
In for 1200, out for 1270.
Into the game for $4,500. Such a juicy action game. Nick 6, everybody putting on a show. And unfortunately for us, we cashed out for $2,000 for a pretty big loss, but some unlucky hands for us.